friend and a family with which my family has shared a two-generational relationship. Member of Parliament, Milind Deora ji, Suchita Joshi ji, Postmaster General, Navi Mumbai, President of Bombay Gymkhana in this golden era of this institution, Sanjeev Saran, Anushka Jagtiani ji, again, someone with whom had a very, very old relationship spanning, well, 3 generations. And many of you in the audience here who have been members through multiple generations of this wonderful institution. Every single member of the Bombay Gymkhana family that generally stands behind the back rows, but have always been at the forefront of service and holding the flag of this institution high. I salute all of them who I met as soon as I entered this hall. And we need to have a much richer round of applause for them, please. So when Milind Deora came and met with me and apprised me of the hallmark of this institution, the fact that it's in its 150th year, and requested me for the issuance of a commemorative postage stamp, I readily acquiesced, not only because this is a sporting institution and a sporting club, but the history and legacy of this club is so richly entwined with not only the history of Mumbai, not only the history of Maharashtra, but if I may say so, the history of India, of Bharat Mata. There are very few places in India where both sport and history, two areas very close to my heart, sit so gracefully together. And the Gymkhana, through its 150-year-old history, has been a mirror, has been a stage, has been a witness to that timeless grace. It is an institution which has seen generations pass through it. It is an institution which has seen fashions change. It is an institution that has seen cityscapes rise. And it is an institution that has converted the cricket bat into a symbol of national pride. Now, a stamp is a very small token, but a very, very powerful emissary of history, of vision, of values, of purpose. And that role of this stamp will talk about the generations that have trained on this ground. Generations in multiple sports that have tasted triumph. And also generations that have come back after defeat into the comforting hands of the environment that has nurtured them. And therefore today for me, the Bombay Gymkhana and the stamp release here is a rare privilege for me for an institution that has kept pace and has shaped the history of Mumbai's cityscape. Being a Mumbaikar myself, having spent over 18 years of my life here, Milind talked about his experience at that not-so-great school across the border. I happened to go to the great school across the other border, which was Campion. And unlike Milind, who came here duping his mother to taste ice cream, I actually would come here to play sports. But as Sandeep said, the Bombay Gymkhana was established in 1875. In a city that would always set the trend for our country. A city that would empower and a city that would uphold the concept of diversity in our country. And so therefore you had wooden galleries, sweeping lawns, Burma teak beams, a setting that is at the same time formal, like we see in these wonderful sports blazers. And I think we should make that a practice more regularly. And at the same time, very welcoming. It's an institution that has found itself at the center of the transformation of India's sporting movement. Hosting the first rugby tournament in the 19th century, to the first home test match in 1933. And when I talk about cricket, because having been a cricketer myself and a passionate cricket administrator as well, I cannot but mention my great cricketing legend, but my great from Madhya Pradesh, Colonel C.K. Naidu, who hammered his 153 on this ground itself. And Colonel C.K. Naidu's hammering of 153 on this ground was not merely a cricketing feat in those days. It destroyed the assumptions that many people had about the prowess, capability, and potential of sports within Indian sportsmen and sportswomen. Those days you didn't have such tall skyscrapers, but yet the buildings surrounding the Bombay Gymkhana, ardent cricket fans would peer from rooftops to watch every shot, every stroke of Colonel C.K. Naidu on this ground. And then came the main event in 1933, when this ground hosted the first test match as a home circuit in India. And you could see then The annals of history have recorded. Black and white films have recorded. Not only the exhibition of sportsmanship on this ground, but the confidence of a young India. A young India that was ready to emerge as an independent country. A young India that would, in the next 75 years, become the third largest economy and the greatest sporting nation on this world in the cricket field. And that heralding took place nowhere else but on the grounds of the Bombay Gymkhana, which I inspected today. I've told Sanjeev that we need to roll the turf wickets a little bit. Our 4 pitches are a little out of shape. There has been a tremendous testament and contribution towards the sporting history on this ground. Whether it's cricket, whether it's rugby, the introduction of rugby in India took place in the Bombay Gymkhana. And therefore, over time, you've opened your doors to multiple sports, multiple communities, bridging people. Milind talked about the concept of fraternity, the concept of camaraderie. And that is what emanates from a sporting ground. That is what emanates from environments like this, which allow relationships to flower. And there are multi-generational relationships that have flowed from the lawns of the Bombay Gymkhana. And so today, when we release a stamp in black and gold colors of the 150th year of the Bombay Gymkhana, where on the one hand, black is the ink of memory. On the other hand, gold is the light of achievement. And that is the history of this institution. Today, our postal department, which has a longer history than the Bombay Gymkhana, from the days of the runners to the pigeons, to the Scindia state dark stamps of 1852, to the first airmail in 1911. India Post has been about connecting people. Very much like the Bombay Gymkhana, India Post has been about conveying emotions. And that India Post today, under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, is undergoing a metamorphical transformation. A transformation into a logistics organization of the 22nd century. We are now bringing in technology. We are bringing in digitization. No institution in the world has the breadth, depth, and delivery mechanism that the India Post has. 1,64,000 points of presence across the length and breadth of India. And today, as e-commerce rises, direct-to-customer experiences rise, I would like to use this forum to also inform people that a huge transformation is underway at India Post. Through our postal logistics infrastructure project, we are going to bring in automated delivery centers, automated bookings, digitization, tracking of every single parcel for customer, 24 to 48-hour delivery systems. And it is our objective that India Post must become the largest logistics organization in the world over the next 5 years. And therefore today, on this twin journey, the journey of India Post, the journey of the Bombay Gymkhana, as we release this stamp, we commemorate heritage, we commemorate the past, celebrate the past, and also envision the future. Institutions such as these are not easy to come by in any nation's history. There are very few institutions in the world that can boast to have crossed the 150th year mark. And what does that mean, Sanjeev? There are many that have walked before you, that have contributed, that have laid the bricks on this ground so that we may have this environment on this day. And that rich history of the Bombay Gymkhana tells us that the values that the Gymkhana holds closest to its heart, values that it regards as its compass, values of stewardship, the ability to nurture, sporting excellence, caring, friendship, relationship building, speaks to me not as values of the Bombay Gymkhana alone, but speaks to me like a civic charter. And it is that civic charter that tells us that these values that have been passed down multiple generations must be passed on. This heritage must be purposeful. And most importantly, it asks us to open our doors, but to keep our core intact. And that is the task before this management committee and its leadership in its 150th year. On your 150th year, let me congratulate you all. And as I congratulate you and release the stamp today, may this little ticket in every single individual's palm act as a messenger as it travels on envelope to envelope, hand to hand. And may it encourage every young boy and girl to pick up a bat. May it encourage them to run a lap. May it encourage them to pass a ball. And most importantly, may it make them believe that institutions can change life for the better. This last century and a half has been historical. This last century and a half has been legendary. May the next century and a half be as luminous as the last one. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank Thank you, Honorable Minister, for that very inspiring speech. And we, of course, appreciate all your initiatives in expanding connectivity to all parts of India, even to remote